What is the long-term future of Google Ads? Well, I'm going to take a look and understand what Google Ads have done up till today to lead me to believe what they might do in the future, and look maybe 10 years down the line as to what Google Ads will be as a product in the very long term. But this doesn't just apply to Google Ads. This could tie in to the entire digital marketing industry as we know it. First off, it makes sense to understand the changes Google have made to the platform over time and why they've made them. If you think back years ago, Google first made a major change to the platform when they decided to link search and display campaign types. Now, a while ago, it was a case of you could have a search campaign separate to display. Then they combined the two where you had to opt out. And then today, if you create a campaign, the box to go on the display network when setting up a search campaign is pre-ticked, meaning they want you to blend search and display when setting up a campaign. Then, of course, we go to keywords, where exact match was no longer exact anymore. It included close variants. And then phrase match, of course, was no longer phrase. It also included close variants. Google's reason for this was because they wanted advertisers not to miss out on potential traffic that could lead to sales. Advertisers just wanted more control. Then they tinkered with the search terms reports, meaning we didn't get to see the majority in some cases. In fact, most cases I've seen, you miss out on seeing the majority of search terms that trigger your adverts. You only get a massively redacted list of who has actually triggered your ads and what terms they are using. This is a major change. Google cited privacy as the reason for this, but I don't buy that, because people using the search terms report, they could have put provisions in place where a minimum threshold had to be met so that uniquely identifiable data in the search terms isn't seen. But they didn't do that. They just wholesale blanket cut the report down massively to where I've seen accounts with maybe 20 to 30% visibility on the search terms people are triggering. Then there are those tiny little changes that may seem insignificant, but if you add them together, they massively make a difference to the direction of the Google Ads product. They got rid of the target CPA and target return on advertising spend bidding strategies and nested them under maximize conversions and maximize ROAS respectively. And it may seem insignificant, but what that means is they want people to first think of the volume side of things before optimizing the cost of their returns. Then we fast forward to recent times where they've gone all in on Performance Max, which is a campaign type that basically takes away most of the advertiser controls, where you provide the campaign type with assets where it can advertise across all of Google's network, including search, display, YouTube, Gmail, and the Discovery network. All of these things tied together to mean one thing. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, I used to think that the reason Google did this was purely to make sure that the product was even more simplified, meaning more business owners who are a bit hesitant about advertising on Google can come on board in the comfort of knowing that there aren't too many controls and levers to pull to optimize campaigns. That's still partly true, but the actual reason I think Google have done all of this is actually a lot more bleak than that. The reason I think Google have made all of these changes is because of their position in the market, their pure monopoly in the Western world. And we'll come back to that monopoly, but remember that Google has gone from a product where advertisers had all the controls, where the objective was to make sure that the costings were right compared to the profitability of your campaign by using negative keywords, using your search term reports, using very focused keyword match types, having all of these cost control levers to make sure conversions came in at the right cost. Now, all of the changes I've mentioned don't just take control away, they also move things in a very specific direction, and that is to maximize revenue and to maximize conversions, which on the face of it sounds like a good thing. But what about the cost of that revenue and the cost of those conversions? Let's compare the two ideas head to head. Now, imagine a world where you're advertising for a business with infinite budget, where they didn't care how much their leads cost, they just wanted to maximize everything. Now, in today's world of Google Ads, Performance Max and all the changes they've made are exactly what you would want to do. You'd want to maximize everything, get as far and wide as you can, catch people at all areas of the buying cycle, spend the money, and reach as many people as possible who could be interested in your service, all the way down to people searching for it right now. But what if that hypothetical didn't exist? Because of course it doesn't. You have cost controls in your business. You want to make sure your conversions are coming in at the right cost. And Google is taking every single layer of protection away from you if you want to make sure your conversions come in at the right costs in favor of volume. So going back to Google's monopoly, how does that play into all of this end game? Well, if you have nowhere else to go as a advertiser of a business in the Western world than to go to Google, and of course Facebook's going down the automation route as well, their audiences are getting more expanded, and in the era of web privacy where tracking becomes more difficult, attribution becomes even more difficult, and Google and Facebook keep getting sued for data usage, you're going into a future where targeting and specifics become less and less, and trying to drive volume becomes more and more, and you have very limited places to go as a business to advertise your products and services. So specifically, what is happening in the digital marketing space right now is that we're going backwards. And when I say backwards, I mean back in time. There was a time where the only way your business would get leads is if you did TV, if you did radio, if you advertised in newspapers, and if you advertised in your local directory, whether it was the Yellow Pages, whatever it might be in whichever country that you're in, those were the gatekeepers of advertising and business success back then. And all of those areas, TV, radio, newspapers, directories, they were all broadly targeted. They were not specifically targeted. They were all very broad. Now, of course, you could hone your interests based on audiences who might listen to a particular radio show or particular interest in something, or whatever it might be. And I guess bottom of the funnel would have been those directories where you would advertise under your service. But those were massively gate-kept, and the same thing is going to happen now. It's going to become a volume game. So we're going to be in a position where this happens. Your business needs the phone to ring or for people to transact. And back in the day, by advertising on TV, radio, newspapers, and in directories, your phone rang and people transacted. You didn't necessarily understand specifically how to control the costings of those things. You set your media campaign budget based on a conversation with the media buyer or whoever it was at the directory, and you gave them your money, and then you got the results in return, and they would try and maximize things as much as they could. And the same is going to happen now. You're going to give Google Ads your budget, and you aren't necessarily going to have any cost controls, and the targeting is going to get worse and worse over time, and Google will open your targeting up more and more over time, and that's where we're going to go back to. Advertising at its very fundamental and its very core. So the digital side of things we've seen in the last 10 years or so, or even more than that, is going to go backwards. How long before Google gets rid of negative keywords? How long before Google gets rid of all keyword match types in favor for broad match? I don't think we're that long away from that. As much as Google deny this, I don't think it's that far away. But what do you think? This is just my opinion, but let me know if you agree with me, or maybe you disagree with me and you think a lot more positively about the future of online advertising. I'd love to hear it. Maybe I want that reinforcement as well. So hit me up in the comments down below. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, check out the other content across my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.